Hey, Darren. Hello.
Oh, it says I cannot start my video because the host has stopped it.
Here I am.
Dan. All right. What are we doing wrong here? Participant 6, a total. Okay, we'll get Autumn and Valerie allowed to talk. Okay, that's good.
Valerie's all tech savvy with a pretty picture. Look at that.
Well, I can't, I'm not even seeing you guys.
Oh, we spoke too soon.
I guess I can take back the tech savvy part.
Do you see Darren? Darren, can you see yourself?
I can see Joe. I can't see anybody else.
Yeah, I can see Joe.
Yeah.
I see Valerie's background. It looks great, but I don't see Valerie.
It tells me that, Joe, that you have shut off the viewing of me.
Okay, so let's figure out how I did that and stop it right away.
It's probably a button somewhere.
Yeah, let me see what's going on.
When you set up the Zoom, you have to allow the panelists to have their video on.
Okay.
I only know that because I have to do Zoom sometimes.
I was going to say, I have, even with all these meetings, I have never had to run a Zoom meeting yet.
Yeah.
So outside of my wheelhouse for sure.
Mine too.
Oh, okay. Wow. Now try your videos. I think maybe I found.
There we go.
There's Darren. All right.
There we go.
That was scary. What kind of a crazy setting was that? Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. I think we're recording. I think we're ready. Okay. All right.
I can only see 3 of you.
I know, same.
This is Autumn. I still don't have the capacity to be on video.
And how can you guys see me rolling my eyes at you if you can't actually?
Oh, I think, okay. I got an idea. We're going to promote you to a panelist, Autumn, and we're going to do the very same thing for Valerie. We're going to figure this out right about the time the pandemic recedes. Okay, there we go. I see Valerie now. I see Autumn now. Okay, good. That helped.
Okay. I think that Martha was going to come, but we may not have a meeting if we only have.
Yeah, I was going to say there's some city people conspicuously missing.
Yeah. You are a five member board.
Yes.
Yes, we need Vedette, and she told me today was fine, and she was going to be here. So that's the one that I'm confident will be here. Okay, we got a phone call, or let's see, someone's calling in. Who's that? Who's calling in on the phone with the 218 number?
6424. It's Tamara.
Oh, hi, Tamara.
Yeah, it just works better for me sometimes to call in, even though I'm looking at my screen. So if there's something to share, I can see it. Okay,
thank you for checking in. We're trying to find Vedette and or Bo.
Bo was not in attendance at my meeting just an hour ago.
It could be that he was working. I'll send him a text real quick.
Thank you, Darren.
Who else is on from the city?
Alex Campbell.
Oh, and he's not going to be here.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be here.
Has he officially resigned, or is that just speculation?
Hasn't that I've heard of.
Yeah, I don't have anything other than that either.
Let me try texting Vedette. See, she responds pretty good to that.
Well, I really read every line of this agenda, and I'm super impressed with how detailed it is. So I'm hoping we go forward.
Right. Otherwise, that was all for nothing.
I was gonna say, my eyes have been crossing for the last few hours.
Right.
I just loved how you explained everything. And I don't know if you have to do this every 4 years or every year you get a new person, but I loved all the history of it all. And you just, whoever prepares these put a lot of work into it, and I just appreciate it.
That's kind of what I was thinking, is it's a great after election report.
Well, that's what I was like, I'm going to save this because the history of it all is just fantastic.
Yeah, the annual report format I'm not in love with, but I do like that part about the history because we have so much turnover in the last 10 years. And yeah, it's sort of, you add the recent stuff to it and leave it in there. So it's real helpful for like where we've been. A third attendee popped up in the...
I wonder if that's Bo, because he saw my text, but he didn't reply.
So he's like, oh, I better get on.
Says 3 and then only shows 2. That's funny. Let's go. Let's give it a minute because, oh, now it dropped back to 2 again.
Hey, I'm getting a call from Bo Smith.
Nice.
Hey, Bo.
Hey, Bo.
We have quorum.
For a second.
Oh, okay. You're en route. Okay. I'll let everybody know. Yeah, it's supposed to start at 5:15. Okay. I'll let him know. Okay, man. See you in a bit. Bye. Says he made a mistake. He thought it started at 5:30. He's actually en route from work to his home. So
okay.
There'll be a few more minutes for him. Did we oh, hey, there's Nicole. Nicole Bersham says, Joe, I can't talk or anything.
Oh, that might have been the third one. There she is. All right. So we're going to get her talking. There we go. And we're going to promote her.
Promote Tamara too.
Nicole, you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, welcome. We are one short of a quorum, but we just found out that we have our third on the way, and we may even have a fourth if Vedette's out there. I just texted her. Mr. Chair, do you want to maybe play with the agenda? We could do some informational only item or something to buy some time, or what's your pleasure? What do you think?
That's a great idea. Let's try and get through as much of this as we can. Well, how do I call a meeting to order without a?
I think so.
I think, Autumn, are you speaking up?
Yeah. We don't have a meeting without a quorum. So.
I was just going to say, how do I call the meeting to order if I don't have a quorum?
We can't do a dang thing until the third shows up.
Initially, I was like, "Oh yeah, let's do some." No, I can't do that.
That would be nice. Yeah.
Me and the Brown Act, we struggle.
Right.
Okay, we'll just we'll hang tight.
Well, we can share information. Chuck, how are you doing? I see Chuck. You're on.
Yeah, we can have social hour.
Right. Let's do social hour.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Hey, Chuck. Hey. What's the health of Route 20 and you?
Well, Route 20 is our driver left the front street at 3 o'clock and just now was able to start getting over the mountain. So yeah, the morning route is getting through pretty well, but our afternoon route seems to be catching that 2-hour delay, the whole thing. So
the 2-hour delay is from 9 to 6 p.m. So if the morning route is getting through before 9 a.m., then that's probably why.
Yeah, but he's also on the way back been hitting it just right to get through. That's definitely after the 9 a.m. But so far we've gotten lucky on that route, but not so much on the second one.
Oh, okay.
Tamara, I wasn't able to make it to your meeting today, so I missed the report on last chance grade. I'm kind of bummed that I didn't get to see that. I hope it was good.
It was a very good report, and I'm going to pull that section of meeting and get it posted. Probably, right. I don't know, in some way on Facebook, on my website, on something. So folks can log in and just see that section. I thought it was very interesting.
Okay.
Worth taking a look at. So, yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, we started after kind of being frozen like a deer in the headlights for about a week to see what was going to happen with the grade. We started a modified schedule on Monday. So this is the second day of it. So that's what Chuck's updating us about. It's been going pretty good. The morning run gets through, and then we were expecting it to get really snagged on the way home, which is midday. But it sounds like it's been slipping through timing wise pretty good coming home. But the afternoon one that leaves at 3, as expected, is getting caught up and absorbing the 2-hour delay as advertised. Coming home, it does better. And then we're doing a new temporary short-term trip that leaves Crescent City at 6:30 p.m. for folks that we were assuming that morning run would come in way late. So we're running that just so people have another chance to get home to Klamath or Klamath Glen in the evening until this thing works out. So far that's been going okay. It gets through pretty quickly at 6:30. But yeah, we're having fun with it.
Yeah.
Cadet has responded. Okay, it looks like she should be with us soon.
That's what you're supposed to be, right? Yeah.
No.
What are you supposed to do with them?
Set them up on the stove.
Put some bromelain under.
Okay. Deal with them as you think is right. Pardon me while I deal with family while I'm on the meeting.
No problem.
That's all we can do right now. We can't really talk about, anything that matters. So
normally we say you're on mute. I was going to say you're not on mute.
Yeah. You never know what colorful things families are going to say to each other. Huh?
Yeah, especially at my house during the homeschooling thing, it's been hilarious.
Oh, homeschooling is terrible.
Yeah.
I know why I'm not a teacher.
Right, I catch myself looking, it's like, aren't you supposed to be in class? Oh, they let us go a little early. It's like, then later it's like the same thing. They let you go early again? What? It's like, I'm being like the hall monitor in the house.
Any hope for getting your kids back to school, Joe?
Our kids, yes, actually, our kids are scheduled to go back in about 3 weeks. So that last week of March, they're going to start doing a 2-day-a-week hybrid.
Are you in Santa Rosa, Joe?
No, I'm in Snohomish County, Seattle area.
Oh.
I used to be in Santa Rosa. I lived there for many years. But yeah, we moved up north during the term of this contract. So when I started this deal 5 years ago, I was still in Santa Rosa.
Where in Snohomish are you?
We're north of Everett. We're technically in Stanwood, although we live out in the country, so we're not really in Stanwood, but that's what the USPS says we are.
Okay.
So your commute to Crescent City wasn't long enough, or
no, right. It went from 5 to 6 to 9 to 10. Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's a pretty drive though. So was the other way. Either way, at least I'm on the right side of the grade for this time. That's good.
Right.
So that's.
Man, I quit doing that. I've got family up in Seattle, my sister and my nieces, but I just can't do that drive anymore. I would rather, drive out to Medford and take a flight up, a couple hours is fine, and I can still make it to San Francisco, but Seattle just got too long. 10 hours on the road is like so exhausting.
It is.
So much time on the road. You waste, get there and you're just wrecked. Can't really function.
Yeah, it's a long haul for sure.
I kind of miss that Portland flight out of here. Someday we'll have a flight in both directions. I hope.
Yeah, that's a good one. Has there been any news lately? I thought they were surveying people about if they wanted to go to Oakland or Sacramento. I think I got some sort of.
They're sticking with Sacramento, or they're sticking with Oakland.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Vedette is with us. Welcome, Vedette. We're going to promote her. Hi, Vedette.
Okay, hi. Sorry,
Hey.
having trouble getting on.
No worries. We were just talking about Seattle and other stuff.
Okay.
Welcome. Well, I guess we have a quorum now. That's awesome.
Indeed. Take it away, Chair.
Take it away. Okay, I guess we'll call this meeting to order with anticipation of Mr. Smith coming on here in a few minutes. But Nicole, if you would take the roll.
Director Roberts?
Here.
Director Starkey? Here. Chairman Short?
Here. And with that, if you would all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to
and
the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Put down my flag for that one. Okay, at this time, I will take any public comment if there is any.
On that note, I've not received anything from the county IT folks, which would collect them and forward them. So I don't have any public comment to report. Okay. With that, we'll go ahead and close public comment and move on to item number 4, our consent calendar. Adopt resolution 2020-21-07, authorizing application to Caltrans for Rcta's fiscal year 2020-2021 allocation of LC top funds for Rcta's electric bus pilot project.
I can move to approve that.
We have a motion. Is there a second? I will second that. Okay, Vedette. Vedette seconds that. Is there any public comment on this item? I don't see any hands raised. I believe I can see everybody that's participating, so I'll assume that there's no public comment. So Nicole, if you would poll the vote.
Director Starkey?
Yes.
Director Roberts?
Yes.
Chairman Short?
Yes. May have did I misread that? Approving the minutes is not a consent calendar item, or?
No, I don't think it hasn't been traditionally for us.
Okay.
We can refer to Autumn. If we could do that, I would start doing it, but we haven't been.
You know, what's interesting here is that I'm not actually your attorney yet.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
You're the closest thing we have.
I will say, just as a general parliamentarian, yes, they certainly could be on the consent calendar.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind, because sometimes we're looking for an item to put on consent. That's good to know.
All right, for future meetings, we'll keep that in mind. But we'll move on to item 5 for the approval of the minutes from February 2nd meeting.
I will motion to approve the minutes of the February 2nd board meeting.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks for that. Is there any public comment about the meeting, the minutes? I'm gonna assume that Tamara's probably not gonna chime in. I'll close public comment. Nicole, if you'd poll the vote, please.
Director Roberts?
Yes.
Director Starkey?
Yes.
Chairman Short?
Yes, thank you. Item 6 on our agenda, approve transition of Rcta legal services from Black and White LLP to Delaware County Attorney's Office.
Okay, and thank you so much to Autumn for being here. We'll turn it over to her in a minute for any questions and anything she'd like to present. This item came to us over the last couple or 3 months. I was contacted by Martha Rice and about, there'd been some transition at their firm, and Autumn had left to take a position with the county. And another one of the attorneys that was somewhat familiar with us had also left. So they were looking at it as an opportunity to downsize. And she had alerted me that the county might be interested in working with Redwood Coast Transit, and that we would then have a chance to reunite with Autumn, who'd been our attorney for many years. So that we continue to have a couple of series of meetings to work out the details. And what I'm going to share my screen with now is the draft agreement that came in yesterday on this, but a very similar process just happened with the Delaware Local Transportation Commission, which some of us were on that meeting earlier. They also switched to the county to obtain their legal services moving forward. So we're sort of following in their footsteps with that. And let me get that open. Autumn, did you have anything to add? Any comments or?
No, it's interesting because I was in front of this board just a few months ago to say a cheerful goodbye. Neither Valerie nor Darren were there. I believe Vedette was. So it's just kind of a head spinner to be back in front of the board and saying that, assuming the Board of Supervisors, who will see this contract next week, are amenable to the change, I look forward to representing Rcta again.
Good deal. I'm certainly glad to see you as well.
Okay, and I think you should see on the screen the agreement that has been put together for this transition. And thank you to Martha and Autumn for working on this collaboratively. It didn't make it in time for the overall packet, but if anyone wants a copy, I can send it out at the end of the meeting or as soon as we're done here. But this is the term of the engagement is 4 years, it looks like. And so that'll take us through till March of 25. And the hourly rates are lower. So actually, assuming that we use the legal services about the same amount as we have, which is not a lot, with the exception of like this year, there'll be quite a bit of work because we do have the GM contract, which is me, so I can't be very involved with that. Dan and I should say. So we have to, that has to be led and taken care of by a third party. And then also the big operations and maintenance contract to be procured later in this year, like in the fall. So that's another one that involves some attorney work. Normally, like last year, we're under 1,000 for the year on legal fees. So we expect that to stay about the same or maybe even go down a little.
I will say something about the rates. When Joe says that they're less, they're significantly less. I think they're less than half of what you would ever find in a firm pretty much anywhere. And it's because we work from a productive hourly rate set by the auditor calculation. And you know, you're only going to find that at a county counsel's office. I'm not trying to promote myself. I'm just saying, you know, it's a good deal for Rcta to go with the county offices. And then I would just add, Martha was the leading oar on this agreement. She acted as Rcta's attorney in drafting this agreement. And so while she isn't here, I will say that it was reviewed by Rcta's current attorney, Martha Rice, before making it on the agenda.
Great, thank you, Autumn. That's a good point of clarity.
Thank you. Question about our actions on the item, Autumn, I guess. Being the agreement was not available till today, does that pose a problem for us taking action on that item today?
It doesn't pose a problem from a legal perspective. From a legal perspective, much of what you do as a board happens because you trust your staff. And so if you trust your staff, then I think you can go ahead and approve this agreement, even if you haven't read it word for word. From a practical standpoint, if you want to take more time to read it, you know, we can table this item until next time. I have talked to Joe about timing of some work that needs to happen, but, you know, I think that work will happen and your comfort level in going forward with this agreement is very high on my list. So if you want to table it, you can. You don't have to.
That was my question. I have complete trust in Martha and you, obviously, and I'm sure that everything is on the up and up. So I was just wondering about the legality of taking an action on this item.
And again,
so
it's a little uncomfortable for me. I'm not, you know, Black and Rice is still technically Rcta's attorney until I take over. So, you know, the agreement actually does say that once I start giving legal advice to you, I have become your attorney. So there's a little wiggle room there, but yeah, I would say you're on solid ground. I wouldn't, as your future attorney, I wouldn't ask you to do something that wasn't okay.
Well, thank you for your bit of pro bono work there that you just did. Okay. Is there, I would entertain a motion to approve this transition, if anybody is willing.
It's not that I completely trust my staff and to word it like that. But I didn't get to read this, so I don't feel comfortable with it. So I'm not willing to make the motion. I would like to consider tabling it, or at least give me 15 minutes to read over it. And again, not because I don't trust everybody involved. I have the most highest regard for both Martha Rice and Autumn Luna. It's just, I feel that it would not be due diligence on my part not to actually have read it before I agree to it.
I think, you know, just on a personal level, I think that's good, you know, good practice. It's sometimes you're going to run into a situation where it's simply not practical. I don't know that that's the situation because, you know, Joe, when's the next meeting if we table this until then?
Next meeting, we don't have an exact date, but it's early April, so it's about 1 month. So we could table it till then.
We could
on that docket was supposed to be the approval of the release of the RFP, which we pretty much got ready. So we probably could
do it at the same time.
Yep.
I would recommend that. What, you know, sorry. No. Under what authority I'm recommending it, I don't know, but
no comment.
You know, I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable, and I don't think there's any problem with just saying. And also, I will say it was my fault that this came to you guys late. So maybe it is better if we just table it so you all have a time to read it. That makes sense. I promised to get it to Joe by Friday last week, and I just simply failed to do that. So I didn't get it to him until late. That doesn't really recommend me for the job, does it?
Can you please remove yourself so we can have a little discussion? No.
Seriously.
No, Autumn, I think you're fantastic. It's just, this is how
Okay.
I feel. Tamara looks like she has her hand up.
Tamara has her hand up. Joe, would you mind letting Tamara speak?
I definitely will let her speak.
Tamara,
I can speak on my own. I was just waiting for public comment.
Oh, well, I don't think we're going to have a motion, so I will open public comment. And I forgot that you were on the phone there, Tamara. So yeah, go right ahead.
So I would just like to, I totally respect the idea that you can delay this, especially since there aren't any direct impacts from that. But I would like to be bold enough to give everybody a summary of my history of legal services. When I became the executive director for the Transportation Commission many eons ago in 2006, the county council was the council for the commission. We had significant challenges getting normal daily work, not that we have needs for an attorney daily, but contracts reviewed, just basic daily requirements for the Transportation Commission, any action taken on those items from county council. And at that time, I really feel like Black and Rice saved us from the challenges that we had in just getting our daily work through. And I am so grateful for Bob Black at that time for taking on the work. This also makes a lot of sense to me in moving back to county council, because there's a whole different team there with a whole different attitude about public service and providing legal counsel to the partner agencies. So just a bit of history that, you know, why we moved away from county council many years ago and why I think it's a great idea to move back, because they do have an efficient, effective office staff or legal staff, and they're moving things forward. So just a bit of history about that. And I encourage you in your next meeting to vote yes on this item.
Thank you, Tamara. We appreciate your input. Just a bit of housekeeping here. Joe, it looks like Bo's trying to get in and says the meeting hasn't started yet.
Oh,
but I don't know if you're able to.
There he is. Okay, he's with us. Let me get him in.
And there he is.
Good excitement. Deal. I did not see him come in.
Good deal. Welcome, Bo.
Hi, Bo.
Okay, so you guys just sent this to me. I've had a chance while Tamara was talking to look over it. If everybody, I can make a motion to approve this now. Like I said, I scanned it, but I at least feel confident that I at least got to look at it, which I feel is important in our role. So,
and if it makes you more comfortable, it's something you can do in procedure is you know, make a motion to table it till the end of the meeting and give you a little more room to peruse it if you feel more comfortable, if that's what you'd like to do. That is in our tool.
No, I think that I feel comfortable enough to move forward. Like I said, I'm never going to do anything blind. Sorry, just not who I am. So, but now that I feel like I've had a chance to kind of look into just the highlights of it, it makes me feel better.
And Bo, just so you know we're looking at item number 6, approve a transition for legal services from Black and Rice LLP to the county attorney's office. And Joe just emailed you a copy of that agreement. So that's what we're talking about right now.
All right.
And Valerie has made a motion that we approve that transition.
And I'll second it.
And Vidette seconds it. And we have already had public comment. So Nicole, would you poll the vote?
Director Starkey?
Yes.
Director Smith?
Did you not hear me?
No.
Try.
Yes.
There
Okay.
we go, Bo. Thank you.
Director Roberts,
Yes.
Chairman Short,
Yes. Okay. With that.
With that, I'm going to stay on, Chair, but I'm going to turn my video off. I'm just going to be a member of the public after this for now, and be back hopefully next time. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Autumn.
Okay.
Appreciate
Okay.
you. So item number 7 on the agenda, receive the Rcta fiscal year 2019-20 financial audit.
All right, this will be a brief one. We're a little late this year in the process. Usually we accept the audit in December or January, but this is the 1st of March. We had a little board turnover and we didn't meet in January this year. So the audit came out clean. There were no significant findings again this year. One of the reasons the numbers look a little better than you would even expect is that the prior year, Caltrans had been very late getting us reimbursement on a couple of our grants, and they came in along with the grants expected this year. So 2 years worth of money came in finally in 1920. The backlog funds arrived. One of the most important numbers is our cash reserves has now grown to about 350,000, so that's good. We're prior boards had set the goal to build these reserves so we have a more resilient agency for pandemics and other bad things that can happen. So we have come a ways on that. Our goal was to try to get to about half a year's operating, which would be about $500,000. And we're well on our way there, not quite there yet. So yeah, with that, any questions about the audit?
Any questions from the group about the audit? No questions from the groups or any public comment about the 2019-20 annual or financial audit? Seeing none, I guess by consensus, we're just going to receive this. So just by consensus, we'll receive the audit from last year. Everybody agree with that? Yes. Yeah. I can't see Vedette, so I hear you, Bo.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. Yes.
That's all right. Thank you. Nicole, I'm sure you did, but will you be sure and put Bo in as arriving to the meeting prior to the discussion on this item? I'm
yes.
sure you probably already did that. Just wanted to make sure it got done. Okay, moving on to item number 8, presentation and discussion of fiscal year 2019-20 annual Rcta annual report.
Okay, this item is, we do this every year. We look back, recap. We have to wait until the financials come in to put the whole audit together. I mean, not the whole annual report, excuse me, it's been a long day. We did the performance part of it back in late October when we met the last meeting of the prior board. And that was looking at numbers we already had, like how many riders per how many hours and all that. Then we add in the financials over the winter, and then we have the full annual report. This was not a great year, as one might expect. The key things are it was a pretty good year, down just slightly from the prior fiscal year, which had been a rebound year for us until the pandemic hit, and then it's been, it's been uncharted waters since then. Overall, our highlights, not a lot of highlights for this one. The ridership was down 2 to 3% before the pandemic, but then we really fell off the map in April, May, and June, which were the last quarter of the fiscal year. So we ended up down 20% overall. So that was, to put that in perspective, it was like from 110,000 to like just under 90,000, 80 something. That's overall system, which includes all the routes and the dollar ride. The dollar ride declined even more than the fixed route. Folks were staying home even more, which is kind of expected. A lot of the folks on dollar ride are frail and potentially more vulnerable to the COVID. Within the fixed route, our local routes and Crescent City routes 1 through 4, 3 of them lost 23% and Route 3 lost 31%. So they all did worse than kind of our system average. Our best route, the most resilient that stood up against the pandemic and was actually ahead of the prior year, was the regional Route 20 between Smith River and Rcta, which came in for the year down 16%. It was actually up until the pandemic hit. There's a lot of neat information. We talked about it a little in the pregame show before we started about the history of Rcta. It's very interesting reading for folks that might be new to the agency. I know it was interesting to me. A lot of what I learned about our history before 2016, I learned from this report. So that's in the first few pages. And then the kind of sad statistics are in the last few pages. So with that, I'll take questions and anyone has anything to talk about.
Joe, I closed out that part of the agenda. The number you referenced, 190,000, is that rider miles? Is that what does the 190,000 represent? Where we dropped from 190,000 down?
Oh, we dropped from 110,000 down to just under 90.
Under 90,000. What does the number represent?
That's total boarding. So anyone that got on the. So yeah, it's not mileage based. A lot of that ridership is the local ridership here in town. Yeah.
Okay.
Any kind of rider, all routes and dollar ride combined.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Valerie.
So I see, and I may just be ignorant with this, but it's a long-term ground lease that you have with the fairgrounds. Does that not include any building or anything, or is it just you're renting or leasing the ground?
It's the latter. We're leasing the ground, and then we, after the lease was entered into in 2004, we built the building on it. So, I mean, right, it's a long-term commitment. So the current lease is 20 years. So it's an issue that's going to come up to the board in a couple of years. I met with the fairgrounds this morning with Kim, and we both intend on extending the relationship another 20 years. There's an option in there for that. Each year there's an escalator in there, so we pay a little more, but it's still a good deal. And so we expect the relationship to continue at least another 23 years, but the next 20 years will be something the board needs to act on. I'm guessing we probably bring that to you guys in like 2023 at the latest. The actual term starts, I think we're through 2024. We need to renew it.
Okay. I was just wondering because if we could coordinate with them to do some of the improvements, but it doesn't sound like that's the agreement, right? It's the agreement's just for the land.
Yeah, we own all the improvements that are on the land.
Okay, all right. That's the only question I have. Thank you. It's a very thorough report, and if you missed me telling you guys before, I loved all the history that you provided, and it's really helpful for someone brand new looking at this to see all of it. So thank you.
Sure.
Sounds like you and Dan don't want to find another piece of property and build a whole new outfit. Is that what?
I'm fine with it if someone can come up with a couple $1 million.
We need a donation.
Right, we need a donation.
I got a question.
Go ahead, Bo.
How much room do you actually need? And I still haven't gotten down there to see see what's going on, but I'm assuming there's a shop there as well, right?
Correct. Yeah, we have a shop with a lot, probably more base space than we need. We do maintenance, and there is some room for indoor vehicle storage and as well. How much room do we need? That's a tough one. I like the size of the parcel that we're leasing now. It gives plenty of room for parking, and we're starting down the path of electric buses. So that's probably going to involve some outdoor charging while they park. So it's good to have room for that.
All right.
We probably could survive on a little bit smaller building and a little bit smaller lot, but this is what we got and we're pretty happy with it.
It's a good facility, Bo. You should take a trip out there and take a look. It's pretty enlightening.
I've ventured out there before. It's been a while.
Okay, is there any other comments from the commission?
Staff comment, maybe Joe portrayed it as, all bad news. Well, it isn't really all bad news. Sometimes we can look at things differently. Yeah, we suffered all of the effects of COVID virus coming in, how that affects our vulnerable clients. But if you take a look at the costs and you take a look at what I do, the percentages, cost per rider, cost per hour, things like that, it was controlled. I think that that annual report carries kind of two messages: a terrible year, but we wrote it.
That's
good work.
Point,
good work.
Point,
yeah, I think that the proactiveness of the board in reducing service in April proved to be very wise in hindsight, because things didn't get better right away. In fact, if anything, they got worse. So by reducing that service, we avoided running a whole bunch of empty buses for any extended period of time that would have been even worse.
For sure. Okay, if there's not any more comments or discussion from the commission, we'll move on to item 9, approved purchase order 2020-21-11 to Creative Bus Sales for the purchase of 1 replacement Champion Ford F450 bus for local routes and a dial ride service.
Thank you, Chair Short. This item is it's a routine thing. We're ready to order another bus. This one is the first bus from a relatively new 5310 federal grant we got that we applied for. It was recommended in the last short range transit plan that that we have a pretty good problem overall in our capital project needs. But one way we could mitigate some of that was if we could successfully tap into the 5310 fund, which is a federal fund for specialized transit for the elderly and disabled. So hence we bought a vehicle that can be used for dial-a-ride as well as fixed route. So we applied for and received the grant for that. And unlike a couple other grants that are still waiting execution, this one was executed quickly by Caltrans. They were awesome. So we're ready to place the order for this vehicle. There's one other bus on this grant that's going to be a small vehicle, strictly for dial-a-ride and hopefully electric. We're holding off on that one until we find the right bus, until everything's ready to go for that. But this first one, we wanted to go ahead and get this Champion ordered. The delivery time's like 6 to 9 months. So if we can get the PO approved today, get it to the vendor, we should see the bus, real late in the year, hopefully.
And Joe, what is the timeline that we have to be all electric?
We have to be, the state gave the rurals a slower timeline, thank goodness. We have to have a plan in place by 2024. So we have to have a plan on paper. It's a bonus if we've made a purchase of electric buses or some infrastructure, which I think we're on track for. We've been proactive on this. We're going to talk a little bit more about that on the next item, but we need to start purchasing. I believe a quarter of our replacement buses have to be zero emission buses, including electric, by 2030, I believe. Dan, does that sound right to you?
Yeah, I think it's a little earlier than that. But
is it earlier than 30?
Much. Yeah. The main thing that we're hoping for now is to get our feet wet. Everyone who's done it elsewhere tells us, learn as much as you can about what you're doing before you go whole hog, so you don't go down the wrong path and find that you made expensive investments in something that you end up not wanting to use. So yeah, that's I think we're a little ahead of the game, and that's probably okay, especially if we can get one bus and we learn what the headaches are with that and fine tune it. We'll be ahead.
Good deal. So we're a ways off, is where I was.
We are a ways off,
but we gotta make a plan.
Yeah.
We may be bringing a purchase of the first electric vehicle to you. That could be as soon as a year with the same grant that we have in hand, but we're just not ready yet. To be clear, this bus here is gasoline that we're wanting to order.
Sure, right. Any other comments from the commission?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Bo.
It's a little off topic of a bus, but I guess it's about spending money. Do you guys have any minimum wage employees? And if you do, have you budgeted for the $15 minimum wage increase before we talk about buying buses?
Sure. The California minimum wage increase has been ratcheting up each year since about 3 years ago. So it's getting close to 15 already. I think it's at about 13, and each year goes up another $1. So yeah, that's already built into First Transit's proposal, that the rates that they're charging us each month and each year. So it's already in there. Are any of our drivers right at minimum wage? I think they're all a little above, but yeah, as that keeps raising, it applies pressure from underneath.
And we are going out to bid toward the end of this year, and that's an opportunity for the vendors to bid fairly, and they look ahead to what they're going to have to be paying for their employees.
Yeah, luckily, the current contract was let out in, what was it? It was in late 2016. So the California minimum wage increase law had just been passed. So they all knew that and incorporated those changes in the bids. Otherwise, it would have been messier.
So I suppose, so are you done?
Yeah, sorry.
No. I just want to compliment you on how thorough this is, because when I look at it, I didn't even have any questions. So I'd like to make a motion to approve this purchase.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Got a second by Bo Smith. Is there any public comment on the purchase of this bus? Seeing no hands raised, we'll bring it back to the commission. Nicole, we will pull the vote, please.
Director Roberts?
I have a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Nicole, if you hold off for a second. Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't see a hand up there. Tamara, go ahead.
I didn't raise it. I just tried to talk. I have a comment. I just want to, there was somebody, and I was listening and walked away, but there was a comment about staff services or staff salaries. And I just wanted to mention that there are very clear colors of money with transit funding, and that you really can't pay for staff with bus purchase funding. So the lines are very, very, very strictly drawn. So when you're taking a look at bus purchases, even if that weren't considered, and I know that it was, the raises for minimum wage, that kind of thing was considered in the budgeting. But even if it wasn't, bus money is bus money and staff money is staff money, and those lines do not cross. So just a note.
Thank you, Tamara. Those are things that we don't often think about with these acronyms and pools of monies that we are all constantly learning. So we appreciate your comment there. Okay, Bo, did that help you out a little bit on your concern? Yeah. Good deal. Okay.
The gentleman answered it prior, but thank you.
Okay, Nicole, would you please pull the vote for this item?
Director Roberts?
Yes.
Director Starkey?
Yes.
Director Smith?
We missed you, Bo.
Yes.
Chairman Short?
Yes. Thank you all. Okay, moving on in our agenda here, item 10, discuss the Volkswagen Settlement Fund Grant application and 2018 Rcta board authorization for staff to apply for grants that meet board adopted goals without prior specific board action.
Thank you.
Or Dan. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this one's mine.
This one's Dan's.
We see it as an opportunity. A little background on what we're talking about. The LC top funding is something that comes around every year. It stands actually for Low Carbon Transit Operations Program. And it's the state's way of helping work towards reducing carbon impact. And it's got some flexibilities in this. This has been a boon to us in times past. It gave us the money for some of our bus shelters, because that promotes more people riding the bus than getting in a single occupant vehicle. We got some money for the free bus program to introduce the college students to riding the bus, and then extending that further to high school students and to veterans. And that money is still going on. Last year, we went for a small grant for electrification. And so we've got that money now that we can spend on it. What we're looking for is kind of year 2 of a 3-year LC Top project. It's going to take every bit of money, because one of the things about LC Top money is it's never been very big. This is a very small grant for us, and takes quite a bit of management too, just to keep the money flowing, but it's definitely worth it. The opportunity we're going for this time, why am I talking about LC Top? I should be talking now.
I don't know,
about
but let's switch gears.
Let me talk about what goes with that. We'll probably need some of that money when we go to take advantage of this opportunity. The Volkswagen Mitigation Trust was set up because of a settlement with Volkswagen doing some rather improper things with talking about their emissions. So in California, we've got an opportunity to exchange a polluting bus with a non-polluting bus. And oh boy, that seems like new lamps to old for me, but it is something that is time sensitive. We really got to get in on this. It's a 10-year program, but as you could imagine, many people go after this kind of money. We've come up with a bus that we figure fits all of their rather stringent requirements about how old it's got to be, how many miles on it. This bus has got over 350,000 miles on it. And what we would like to be doing is asking them to replace us with an electric bus. So we would get our first electric bus that way. Nothing is for sure about these kinds of things, but that's the staff report describes both of those buses a little more clearly. And what we're looking to do is proceed with this as a grant, and also to kind of get some reassurance. Do we have the ability on this one? We'd like you to tell us, do you want us to do it or not? But we thought that we would have to be applying last week, and that didn't happen. So at times there are going to be good reasons for applying before we bring it to the board. And when this has happened at times past, there's board policy that says, if you've got something that fits the goals, fits the objectives, makes sense from a business kind of a standpoint, go ahead and do it and get a ratification later. We'd like kind of two things from the board members today. In general, do you think we should go with this particular one, seeking about $280,000 total between a bus and a charger. And secondly, just kind of ratifying that stand. Is it still okay for us to be going out there and pursuing other sources? I'm kind of the guy who sniffs out grants from different places and pursuing quite a few of them. And we'll sometimes we do have to do that. Normally we would not do that, but we'd like some kind of reassurance on that. With that, I'd open to questions.
Thank you, Dan. I just think it makes sense to go after things that are business-wise. Grant opportunities sometimes come at the last minute. I think it absolutely makes sense to give you the freedom to go ahead and do that. I mean, yeah, I can't imagine that there would be a grant that this board would not agree with. And if one of those times ever did come in the future, then we just don't accept it. So, I mean, to me, it's just that, it's just that simple. So it just absolutely makes sense to give you guys the freedom to do this grant seeking without the ominous having to ask permission. So, and I'll entertain any other comments from the board if anybody has any.
I
Valerie, ladies first. Go ahead.
Oh, well, Vedette then.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear Vedette.
Yeah. But I completely 100% agree with what Mr. Short, Darren Short, I don't know what to call him here, said. Are you a commissioner? What are you? A chair, Short?
We went to high school together, so I guess Darren is probably...
Yeah. Well, I won't tell you what we called him in high school.
Easy there.
But no, I 100% agree with what he's saying, is that you've got to go after these, and they are short timelines. And so sometimes you just have to go after it. This one in particular, I think, is an excellent one to go after. If you get 221 to convert to our first electric vehicle and then 60,000 for the plugs, it makes total sense to me. So I think it's great. And thanks for your hard work on that.
Vedette, did you have a comment?
I just have a question. I was just wondering, on the electric buses, do they have a universal charging system, or do different buses have a different charging system?
They really do have different charging systems. That's a real good answer. But they have kind of moved toward a charging system called a System 2 that works for pretty much all of the transit buses. Now, it's not the same as a Tesla. Tesla's proprietary. And they really don't want anybody in there. But that's what we're looking for because it has fairly universal use throughout the transit things. We may also be looking at what's called a DC charging system, which can do a very quick top up in the middle of the day or something like that. So they're kind of two, but the standard is the System 2.
Okay, thank you. Just curious.
Bo, did you have a comment?
Oh, I agree with Chairman Short. I think it shows longevity, and I don't think that there's a grant that I would not want you to go after. I mean, it's just smart business sense.
Well, good deal. Joe and Dan, you've obviously got some consensus there, I think.
Thank you.
All righty. I guess we don't need on that one. I guess we don't need a polled vote for that one. So moving on to number 11, operations report from First Transit.
That would be me.
Hey, Chuck.
Hi. Give you a quick rundown. Our staffing levels continue to be adequate, but we're still needing to hire a couple more people. We have one new driver. Well, he's worked for us before, but he's coming back and will be back with us next week. And we're working through, we just got like 3 applications this week that we're working our way through. And I think we have at least one interview out of that 3. So it continue to be hopeful, but it is always a challenge to get good hires here. for drivers. So that's where we're at with that. As far as maintenance and things are, right now we have a couple of buses down. We've got one that we got to put a new motor in, and one of our Fords that's got to have a blower replaced, and replace that blower, the whole dash has to come out. So it's, you know, about a 3-hour job to do a 10-minute fix. But Nick's good at it. He'll get it done. We'll get that one back on the road, and we'll carry on. And then, you know the challenges we've had with the Route 20. We've been doing everything we can to keep Joe informed of every day what's going on and what the new developments are. And Joe came up with a plan that we've implemented of getting the morning run and the afternoon runs going again, as well as adding that 6:30 run from Crescent City to Klamath and back to try to help those folks down there be able to get to what they need to here and then get back home. So the morning run is going pretty well. It's that afternoon run, as I said earlier, that has been held up for the 2 hours. But coming back hasn't been a problem because it's been after the 2-hour delays. So that's kind of the quick rundown. Any questions?
Any questions from the board? No questions from the board. Okay. Well, thank you, Chuck. Appreciate that rundown. And I guess we'll move on to General Manager's report. You're muted, Joe.
Oh, thank you. That was the best part of my whole speech too, darn it. All right, let me try to regroup. One of the things I was going to touch on, we ended up touching on earlier with Valerie's question about the land lease, and specifically what spurred it is the fairgrounds received is receiving, I should say, in the present tense, dirt and debris from the last chance grade slide. And at one point last weekend, a lot of it got dumped on our new roads, so it caused us some access problems getting into our facility. That's since been scraped off, but you know, we're going to need to be diligent because those vehicles are coming in and their gross vehicle weight is high. So I talked with Kim at the fairgrounds today. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Hopefully the road doesn't get damaged too badly, but we'll have to keep monitoring that. We're going to modify how our employees come in for until the dirt haul is over. We're going to try to bring the employees through the north end, through the Williams Drive in, so that just our buses go in and out the Cooper entrance, which is where the dirt haul is happening. So that's an interesting thing. But we did, while we were talking, we were touching on the long-term thing. So as I mentioned to Valerie earlier, the intent of both parties is to execute it and be together for another 20 years, because it doesn't make any sense for us to invest in this facility, then walk away in 20 years. So hopefully that will not be the case. The new schedule that we implemented yesterday, Chuck touched on that. So far, so good. We mentioned in the rider alert a lot of words like approximately and maybe and 2-hour delay. So folks, hopefully will be patient, because we really don't know from one trip to the next how it's going to go. But so far so good. We'll know more hopefully by the time we meet again. Hopefully the slide area is open and we can go back to regular schedule. Looking forward, our next meeting is a perfect opportunity to be our annual workshop, which it has been in April-ish every year for the last 3-4 years. And this is where it'll be really exciting with the new board members. We take a pretty deep dive into 3 or 4 of our most important issues facing the agency, one of which is always money. I mean, always. But then there's other ones like the electric bus program, priorities for service reinstatement when we feel we're ready to do so. So we'll get those topics put together. So when we meet again, which I tentatively put down for Tuesday, April 6th at this time, because the Tuesday nights seem to be working for us, but we can change that. We can talk about that in a minute. But our next meeting will be that fun workshop. We may have 1 or 2 routine items that need taken care of before we go into the workshop. But the bulk of the meeting will be just a strategy session where we kind of educate and talk about what we want to do and get board policy direction. I think that's all I have. Any questions on anything that wasn't on the agenda or that you may want to know about?
Anybody have any questions?
I don't have a comment.
Go ahead, Bo.
I'd like to apologize to everybody for being late to this meeting. I was really hurrying to get home.
We were all talking really bad about you.
Well, normally this special city phone they gave me to work with me, but what I do for a living, I'm afraid to break it. So I tried to get home as quick as I could. And I just wanted to apologize to everybody.
Well, thanks, Bo. It worked out okay.
We're good.
As far as scheduling of the meetings, obviously, Joe, you were tuned into the Transportation Commission meeting right before this one. I fear that if that meeting went long, that it would disturb this one. I wondered what the group thought about choosing a different day, or how complicated that would be. I mean, as long as Transportation Commission doesn't run long, then we're okay. But I just wondered about the possibility of moving it to a different day.
Darren, it's Tamara.
Go ahead, Tamara.
My meetings nearly never last an hour. It was an unusually long meeting. So just a note about that. You're right. I mean, I'm still on Zoom and it makes for a long day, but it's unusual. My usual meetings are 35, 40 minutes.
Yes, and I'll take that as a promise from you that your meetings will never run long.
Nope.
Nope.
Absolutely not. It's just not the normal. It really isn't. I mean, normally we go in, we get the business done, and we're out of there. And
okay.
So the presentation about last chance grade took about 25 minutes. When there were other things on the agenda that are not the normal. So just as a heads up, my meeting was unusually long.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and leave it alone then. And if we run into future problems, doesn't sound like there's going to be. So then we may deal with it at a later time.
One thing I forgot to mention. Oh, if you have one more second,
go right ahead.
We used to do these here, and it might be good we have some new board members and some folks that haven't been here for a while. So not sure how the board would feel about it, but we could, we could possibly have some of us here to do the tour that want to or that feel comfortable being on site, and then we could do Zoom for the others. So just something to think about, because that was one aspect of the workshop that made it kind of unique. It's not just we dove into some serious stuff, but we also we did the tour and got to see the place and meet some of the staff. So it's up to you guys, but that can be part of the next one. Kind of like I'm here on site today. I'm not in Washington. So we could, those that are interested could actually attend in person if you want the next one.
I would love that if I'm still here. I'm just still the alternate for Supervisor Berkowitz, but I would love that. I might just crash your party anyway.
Right.
Bo, what do you think? Would that fit your schedule to do a tour at the next meeting at 5:15?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Good deal.
All right, why don't we plan on that for those that want to? Obviously, it's totally optional. Nobody's going to get mad if you don't want to be here in person, but we'll plan for that then.
Well, that'll be good. Next meeting will be there
yeah, at our Williams Drive Maintenance and Operations Facility, 140 Williams. When we get closer, depending on how that dirt hauling is going, we'll send out instructions on where to park and how to approach. Not sure how that'll be by then, but.
Thank you.
Good deal. Well, okay. Does any of the board members have any announcements? Anything for the good of the order?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead, Bo.
I'd really like to see this. Tamara, Miss Layton, I don't know. I don't really understand. Is it her I'm supposed to be talking to, or Darren maybe?
What do you mean for this meeting?
Yeah.
I'm the chair of this meeting. Tamara Layton is the executive director of the Local Transportation Commission. So she tunes in because we're kind of part of the transportation equation here at RCTA. And she often gives a lot of good advice and feedback.
As the economic development planning for the city keeps going, I'd like to see more of this in there, because I think there's a real chance for tourism with this. You know, to market the tourism.
I got you. You'll have to bring that up with the city on those economic development meetings. You know, the SEDS meetings are.
I will.
And, you know, take those opportunities when you can get them.
Yeah, Bo, if there's a meeting or something, I'd be glad to attend if I can get on the invite list. I haven't heard from anyone, but that'd be great.
I'll make sure that you are on the invite list for those.
Okay.
I'll pass your email along.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, well, if there's nothing else, I guess we will adjourn this meeting until Tuesday, April 6th at 5:15 at the Williams Drive facility.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Dan. Chuck, thank you. Tamara, thank you for tuning in.
Good night, everybody.
Have a good night.
Good night, Nicole. Good night, Autumn.
Good night.